Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Ranking the Albums. Today we're going to take a look at a band who's been around a long time. Since like 65. Dutch hard rockers, Golden Earring. Okay, this is a band that's been asked for by many people. I've long been listening to this band, but they've got such an enormous catalog. I don't own all of it. I've got a good chunk of it. Maybe 60% of it, maybe a little bit more. I've heard a lot of their albums, okay? What I've decided to do, instead of trying to do a massive 25 or 30 or whatever it is ranking, I'm going to pick my top 10 favorite albums from this band, okay? A lot of good ones. And one of the things that I want to stress here, I know most people are probably like, Golden Earring, yeah, Radar Love, Twilight Zone, don't know anything else about them. This is a band that has a lot of really kick-ass songs. Mostly they were, especially in the 70s, they were a hard rock band who had like a little bit of prog, and certainly early in their career, a lot of psychedelic elements going in their music, little bits of jazz here and there because they like to include like sax and flute in a lot of their songs. Ripping guitar work, heavy riffs, just the right amount of keyboards, excellent vocals, a lot of anthems, a lot of mix of styles, especially throughout their early albums. Just a really great band, and it's incredible just how heavy some of their like early mid-70s albums are. And then they started to kind of streamline their sound a little bit more. So you almost have to look at like Golden Earring in terms of eras. You know, the 60s material, very psychedelic, little bits of folk in there as well, lots of pop, and then they went into this kind of heavy rock phase. Then they started doing a little more proggy stuff. Then they started to get back into hard rock again, and then a little more mainstream sound. That's kind of like where they've gone since. So a lot of good albums. I'm just going to keep it at 10 because it's just way too many of them. So I'm going to start off here with my number 10 track, number 10 song, I should say, from 1982, the album Cut. This was probably, at least for folks here in the States, this probably was one of the first albums that really started to get them some like kind of mainstream attention. Although they had, you know, obviously the Radar Love song was a big hit quite a few years before, probably about a decade before. But this started to see them get exposure again. It's the early 80s. They started to kind of tailor their sound to what was going on in the 80s, kind of hard rock and pop and lots of keyboards and things like that. Of course, this album also has their big hit Twilight Zone on it. A lot of the great songs on here. The Devil Made Me Do It is a fantastic track. Baby Dynamite kind of has some of that proggy nature, some of their early stuff, but it also rocks. Last of the Mohicans is very strong. Secrets, the final track, kind of moody, all right, but still interesting musically. Charging Up My Batteries, very strong album, okay, and a lot of good hooks on this album too. This band could write a catchy tune. They were very good at that. And the vocals are really good, so you think Dutch band, oh, probably lots of heavy accent and all that kind of stuff. Not really at all. Not really at all. All right, so next up I'm going to go to 1976's Contraband album at number 9, which was called Mad Love here in the States. So in the States it was not released as Contraband, it was released as Mad Love. Mainly the same track listing. I think there were a couple things that were different. These are all the kind of European releases here that I'm showing you, all the remasters, reissues on Red Bullet. All right, here you got the excellent track Con Man. All right, you got some long tunes on here. Again, this is kind of, what did I say? This was 1976. Bombay, very cool song. You got Time's Up, Fightin' Windmills, Mad Love's Coming. Good mix of kind of like heavy rock, little bits of prog, and some of those more accessible pop hooks. Okay, dig that album. Quite good. Contraband. Next up, number 8. Going to go with 1969's 8 Miles High. So, of course, 8 Miles High, a famous song by the Byrds, which they decided to cover and name their album after that. That's kind of strange. I don't know how much I agree with them doing that, but they did it. And 8 Miles High, of course, is like 19 minutes long on here. So lots of cool jangly guitar jam. And it's very, they kind of keep it... I wouldn't say similar, but they're trying to keep the feel of the original Byrds version of it, obviously. But there's other good songs on here as well. Landing is a cool tune. You got Song of a Devil's Servant, which I like. That's, again, this is that period where they're starting to move away from psychedelia into more hard rock realms, but there's still plenty of that psych feel on this album. You got One Huge Road and Everybody's Torture, all good kind of moody psychedelic hard rock tracks. And then you've got, of course, the lengthy, rambling 8 Miles High. Good album. If you're looking for like kind of that late 60s psychedelic sound, and if you're into like bands like, Jefferson Airplane and whatnot, definitely check out that very early Golden Earring, because it's not that dissimilar for what you heard from like kind of like the San Francisco scene. Okay. Next up, number 7, going to go to 1975 for the album Switch. Always dug that album cover. Okay, this is actually, right, so around this time period, again, they're doing a lot of really cool heavy rock stuff, whereas this album is more of like a straight-up prog rock album, and a good one, too. You got Love is a Rodeo, very cool song, plus the cool intro, which leads into that. What else? Title track is good. Tons of Time, Lonesome DJ, Troubles and Hassles. Catchy songs, lots of cool instrumentation going on. I love the addition of like flutes and sax and keyboards and all that sort of thing. It's like this band is very cool. They do these like kind of like heavy rock tunes, and all of a sudden you'd hear a flute solo or like a sax solo. Some of the early stuff, kind of reminds a little bit of Jethro Tull at spots, especially the albums that are a little more flute heavy. Just really, really cool stuff. A very different sounding band. That's very, very unique. Number 6. This is one of their later 70s ones, but I like this one a lot. It's just really a lot of really catchy songs, a lot of good hard rock tunes. Number 6, No Promises, No Debts from 1979. Just some more tracks on here. You'll notice as the band kind of got into the later part of the 70s and into the 80s, certainly a lot of those lengthy tracks all of a sudden are now mainly 3 and 4 minute long songs, which is good. But Heartbeat rocks really hard. Okay, Selling Out is really good. Save Your Skin, one of the more lengthier tracks on here, nearly 7 minutes long. Got good prog stuff going on there. Tiger Bay, very cool tune with some really cool guitar riffs. What else here? Don't Stop the Show, Don't Close the Door, Weekend Love, some really good songs on here. Again, catchy. You can kind of see where they're moving into in the 80s, but a lot of good hard rock riffing on here. Great, tasty guitar solos. Just a very, very talented band. And that's a fun album, I think. All right, my top 5. I mean, here's the absolute cream of the crop for me. Okay, 1976's To the Hilt coming in at number 5. Very cool album cover. Check that out, right? Very decent there. You got Why Me on here, kind of leading it off. You got the excellent title track. All right, Sleepwalking. The lovely Violins, okay, which is a kick-ass epic album closer. Probably my favorite song on this album, though, is Latin Lightning, which has some really cool, groove-laden riffing, tasty solos, great vocals. It's a catchy song, but it rocks. It's got a prog feel to it as well, a little bit of jazz going on there. Just a very, very solid album. That's probably towards the end of their kind of like hard rock and experimental period. Okay, as they start to move into a little more commercial waters. All right, next up, we're going to go 1972's Together. There's the guys in the band right there. This is a really strong album. They have like a 4-album release for me. That's just you could say 5. I have 4 because they're kind of come one after the other that are just absolutely killer. A lot of good crushing hard rock on this album. Like I said, like some moodier pieces, hints of jazz and prog and what have you. All Day Watcher, absolutely great. Cruising Southern Germany, Brother Wind, kind of bluesy. All right, you got Buddy Joe, Jangaline, 1,000 Feet Below You, also really good, and From Heaven From Hell, all really good haunting piece, kind of heavy, right, kind of proggy. Dig this album. All right, number 3, 1971's 7 Tears. Yeah, this is a good one. This is a good one. Whenever I recommend Golden Earring to people who only know those couple of hits, there's these top 3 albums are the ones that I generally say, go listen to these. This has got the excellent Silver Ships, so melodic, so kind of alluring and addicting. It's just really... just kind of floating, dreamy type of tune, right? Layers of guitars, really, really good. Perhaps my favorite Golden Earring song, She Flies on Strange Wings, 7 minutes and change. It's heavy, okay? It's good 70s heavy rock with driving guitars, and it's got this great sax solo, right, which almost kind of doesn't fit, but there it is, right? It adds a jazzy note to it. The chorus is amazing. It's so memorable. Just a killer tune. You got also The Road Swallowed Her Name. You're Better Off Free. Also a lengthy track to finish out the album. Don't Worry. Top to bottom, really strong. Really strong. My number 1 and 2, I mean, these could kind of flip-flop at any given time, but I think I like my number one just a little bit better. I know a lot of people are going to pick my number 2 as their favorite, and that's totally cool. 1973's Moontan. This was one of their bigger albums at the time, because this has their big hit on it, right? This has Radar Love on it, but there's other fantastic stuff on here. You got Candy's Going Bad, another great hard rockin' anthem from the band. Great chorus, great instrumentation. Are You Receiving Me is also fantastic. Susie Lunacy, killer song. Just Like Vince Taylor, more hard rockin' mayhem. And of course the Vanilla Queen, 9 minutes and change. Lots of cool experimentation. A killer chorus. Very memorable. Dig it quite a bit. I'm thinking there's a song I wanted to. I can't remember which one I'm thinking about now. Never mind. My number 1 from 1971, Golden Earring, self-titled. Sometimes they call it. There's another name for this. It has to do with the dolls, right? There's all these dolls in the background. Some people call this the Dolls album, but it's self-titled Golden Earring, Yellow and Blue. The Loner is cranking heavy rock. Okay, this is the time of the year. Big Tree, Blue Sea, The Wall of Dolls. That's the Wall of Dolls in the background. That's kind of what I was thinking of there. You got the kind of bluesy Back Home. I'm going to Send My Pigeons to the Sky. That's the song I was looking for before. Okay, that is another one of my favorite Golden Earring songs. It's just got a great chorus. It's heavy, driving riffs aplenty. I'm gonna send my pigeons to the sky. It's just you put it on and you can't stop singing it, and the air guitar comes out. Just a great heavy rock song from them. And it's 6 minutes long, so lots of jamming and soloing going on there. Just really good. And As Long as the Wind Blows, another cool kind of proggy tune to kind of finish it all out. So there you have it. For me, these are the 10 Golden Earring albums that really do it for me. But they have a whole bunch of not a whole bunch, but they got 3 or 4 albums that came before 8 Miles High, which again are decent. On the Double is a good one, but that's that's the album that they started to turn away from the pop and psychedelic of their really early material into kind of where they would go during the 70s. That's worth looking at. They have other albums in the 80s that are actually pretty decent. Okay, they've got some later in the decade and some of the 90s stuff. I'm not much of a fan. That to me is Golden Earring, far removed from the stuff that I like. But, still good tracks here and there. But these are my favorites, my top 10 Golden Earring albums. So number 1, Golden Earring from 1971. Number 2, Moontan from 73. Number 3, Seven Tears from 71. Number 4, Together from 1972. Number 5, To the Hilt from 1976. Number 6, No Promises, No Debts from 79. Number 7, Switch from 75. Number 8, 8 Miles High from 69. Number 9, Contraband from 76. And number 10, we're going to go with Cut from 1982. There you have it. Curious to see what you guys think for all you Golden Earring fans out there. What are your 5 favorite albums, your top 10, or you want to rank all 25 or 30, whatever it is, go right ahead and do that. If you have not ever investigated Golden Earring beyond Radar Love and Twilight Zone, I highly recommend you go check out my top 5 albums here and go listen to each one of them. There's a lot to love there, trust me. If you are a 70s hard rock fan or a 70s prog fan, I think you'll find a lot to love on these albums. So go and investigate, and also visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. Coming up tomorrow morning, Martin Popoff and I are going to rank the catalog of the Police. I've also got a ranking the albums of Tool coming up either tomorrow or Friday, as well as tomorrow we've got Deep Cut Dive with Queen. Friday, Deep Cut Dive with ZZ Top, so you don't want to miss any of that stuff. So see you guys real soon. Take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.